You're watching Alaska's news source.
Well, good evening. As we come on the air at 6 o'clock, we're learning more about a cruise ship passenger from Texas that was found dead after state troopers say he and another passenger fell while hiking the Mount Roberts Trail near Juneau.
Troopers say they got reports of the two men falling just after 8 last night. Here's some details now on your screen. They say the men slid down a mountainside. 36-year-old Britton Poole's body was found by drones. His remains have been sent to the state medical examiner's office. The other man was rescued by Juneau Mountain Rescue and had minor injuries. Troopers say the men were just visiting and exploring Juneau on a cruise ship stop.
Well, a month into the new school year, the Anchorage School District is facing another financial hurdle after learning yesterday it's losing millions of dollars allocated toward the Academies of Anchorage.
Our Georgina Fernandez joins us now with those details and what's next.
Just a few weeks into the school year, Anchorage School District is facing another financial whammy. It's losing $3.3 million of grant funding from the federal government that was allocated towards the Academies of Anchorage. That money was to be used to help fund 6 CTE teachers and 8 academy coaches within the program. But despite the funding cuts, the district says the program and classes will continue. It plans to use holdback teaching positions to help fill those 6 CTE teaching spots and are working on a plan for the 8 academic coaching positions.
This is a setback, but this is far from over. Offering these types of programs is the right thing to do. This is something that we need to do whether this grant exists or not.
Now, this program was already hit with a funding concern earlier this year. The Academy's director telling us back in May, funding concerns were a big reason why the program scaled back.
We are unable to go to a wall-to-wall academy this coming school year, so we've had to make some adjustments and really look at what the state funding is and then look at what we can do with teacher shortages and basically the whole landscape of the district.
Now, according to the Department of Education, this specific grant cut was because it says the grant funding is no longer consistent with the continuation requirements for multi-year projects, and that the funding is not in the best interest of the federal government. Instead, it says the money will be allocated towards school mental health programs. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Georgina, thank you. And we now want to head outside where our chief meteorologist is getting a firsthand look at the beautiful weather we're experiencing today. Firsthand, Melissa, looks very sunny and gorgeous up there.
It's so wonderful out here. There's no way I could stay inside on a day as beautiful as this. Did you guys know it's mid-September? This feels like, you know, maybe late August. Feels great out here. I actually just put on the jacket when I moved into the shade, but otherwise, great evening. And there's still plenty of time to get outside and enjoy the conditions out here tonight. We do have another storm on the way. But first, let's talk about these temperatures because it has been pretty nice. Now, as we push into the 6 o'clock hour, still warm, sitting at 64 degrees here at Alaska's news source, 62 out at the Campbell Creek Science Center, a little cooler out near the airport. And as you head out into Eagle River, temperatures are sitting in the upper 50s. While we are seeing sunny, dry, and mild conditions in South Central, actually quite the opposite as you head into Southeast. That is where we are seeing pretty extreme wind. Gusts to 60 miles per hour already in Sitka. Some reports of trees down there. 52 miles per hour in Juneau and 49 in Ketchikan. More of those high winds pushing north. But live conditions right now showing those clouds beginning to break up behind that storm in Ketchikan already. 55 degrees there. Some cloud cover extending into Fairbanks with some showers on the way. Bit cooler too at 53. But you can see that sunshine from Anchorage into Palmer with temperatures right at about 60 degrees. Now we are going to continue to see those high winds near Haines and Skagway through about 7 p.m. Then it should start to taper off. But already a flood watch in effect for the next storm. You want to be prepared for wet conditions Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 2 to 4 inches of rain on the way for those southern regions of Southeast. Otherwise, just a few showers pushing into South Central, but we won't see that until early tomorrow morning. Until then, dropping into the 40s overnight. Tomorrow, high temperatures getting back into the mid-50s. And again, we'll see chances for just a few light showers in and out. Most of that will be closer to the coast. Some morning rain in Fairbanks. Still seeing wet conditions in Juneau. And Bethel holding on to partly sunny skies. Now, have a closer look at that full statewide forecast, and we'll look ahead to the weekend as well here in just a few minutes.
All right, Melissa, thanks so much. And it's been 2 months since Congress approved cutting public media funding. Our investigative team has learned that's created a $15 million loss for the state's 27 public media stations. Leaders from those stations say they feel caught in the middle of a national political debate.
They say that they are now navigating how to still serve their communities with what they call essential information, while cut supporters say taxpayer spending on what they call biased information needed to stop.
Our investigative teams, Johnson Kuhn and myself, traveled to Valdez. We went to the local public radio station, KCHU, where we were told the bottom line is these may be small communities, but they serve huge areas, and that's the concern. We've got Johnson standing by.
That's right, Augusta. Think of Alaska's size, 2.5 times the size of Texas. Now, Valdez has a population of just about 3,800 people, but KCHU radio in Valdez serves an area that's 46,000 square miles, covering those 7 communities.
So, Johnson, on top of everything that's going on, the station's antenna collapsed. Are communities receiving any broadcast at all?
That's a great question. They are still getting a signal from the FM broadcast, but the director says quality from that is not a guarantee. And so that's key because they're one of only stations in the area. And so getting out information is critical. But he says with federal grants cut, they don't know if they'll be able to replace it at this time.
And finally, this story is part of an ongoing series from our investigative team. Tell us about what folks can expect.
Well, when decisions like funding cuts are made, it's important for our team that we look at how real Alaskans say they're being impacted. So this is just the first in a number of stories that we'll be doing.
All right, Johnson Kuhn, thank you very much. You can watch Johnson's full story on both our website and mobile app, with the final installment coming tomorrow. Our investigative team is hard at work to bring you in-depth stories several days a week. If you want to get a hold of them, on your screen, a couple of ways to reach out.
We now want to get to Joe Allgood, who's working on a story about a missing Anchorage man.
Where's Carl DeGrosse? That's what his family and friends are asking after he vanished on a routine fishing trip.
At this point,
we just need answers.
We just need to know where he is.
I'll have the full story for you tonight on The Late Edition. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Well, now to a developing story, as the Federal Reserve has announced a quarter-point interest rate cut. It's the first cut since December.
Joining us now is financial advisor Al Biss. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Al. And as this announcement is made, how does this affect most people, and what adjustments can people or what should they do?
It's a great question on how it affects folks. Now, in my business, I've seen it start to affect things the last few months. We've seen shorter-term rates come down, especially, and some longer rates. What I mean by that is it depends on what side of the balance sheet you're on. If you're someone who's loaning out money, so you've got money in savings accounts, CDs, money markets, stuff like that, you're going to see a little lower rate of return going forward. And we've already started to see it in some of the CDs and stuff, because the thought is the Fed will continue to lower rates. In fact, they did a really good job of showing us ahead of time what was going to happen. That's why when you saw today when they actually cut rates, the markets really didn't move. So the thought is over the rest of the year, there'll probably be another 0.5% of rate cuts, 0.25% in October, 0.25% in December. Of course, that all depends on what unemployment rates look like and what inflation looks like. So for consumers, if you're someone who's saving money, you're going to see lower rates on that savings. If you're someone who's borrowing money, though, you've got credit card debt, you've got adjustable rate loans, stuff like that, you're going to see those rates come down as well, though. So that's helpful for you. Also, we're starting to see longer rates, even though the feds don't directly control them. We have seen longer rates start to come down. So you're seeing mortgage rates lower than they've been for a while.
Well, thanks for breaking this down, Al. We really appreciate it. I think you touched on this, but so we could see more cuts by the end of the year. And can you talk about those factors, what they mean? Yes.
So at the Federal Reserve meeting today, of the 12 voting members, 11 voted for a 0.25-point rate cut. The new person just came in, voted for 0.5% rate cut. So that was today pretty much in alignment. Going forward, though, we're seeing of the 19 people that were at the meeting, 7 said they didn't think there'd be any more rate cuts through the end of the year. 2 said 1 rate cut, and the rest, the other 10, said there'll be 2 rate cuts. So going forward, it's going to be interesting to see what plays out. They're going to be very data dependent on if we see an uptick in inflation, that will make it so they're going to be very hesitant to drop rates anymore. If we see a continuing weakening of the labor market, that might incentivize them to cut rates a little bit more. So right now they're on that edge of, well, inflation or slowing job growth. Right now they've leaned towards slowing job growth. Powell said 6 times in his interview today, slowing economies and worries of that. So that seems to be their focus right now. But you've got two competing forces. If one of them breaks out, that'll adjust what they're doing going forward.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very much so. Al, we really appreciate you coming in. And,
happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
These things.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thanks so much. And after spending the past 6 weeks on the water, both U.S. military forces and the Royal Canadian Navy are wrapping up an operation together.
The focus being on preparedness and working together. Georgina Fernandez gives us a look at how they're doing that up north.
Out on the water,
you're only 1 or 2 degrees above zero.
It's frigid with vast openness in the western Arctic region, a geostratic playground as tension in the Arctic heats up.
I wish it were hot. It is very cold and very challenging. So the same things that we do that we take for granted are easy in warmer climates become very difficult.
It's out here on the water where Captain Samuel Patchell with the Royal Canadian Navy has spent the past 6 weeks on board His Majesty's Canadian ship Regina during Operation Latitude.
Operation Latitude is Canada's commitment to defending the North, working with our partners from the United States.
An operation in partnership with the U.S. Coast Guard and Alaska Command, focusing on strengthening their working relationship.
It's difficult to capture just how momentous this is and how important the partnership has been with Canada over this summer.
And their ability to detect and respond to threats in the North region by conducting joint exercises together on the water.
We worked on underwater warfare, combating the submarine training in those exercises as well. We did underway replenishments in heavy seas, boardings of ships, and domain surveillance, working with both aircraft and finally coordinated strikes on valid targets.
It's drills that Patchell describes similar to a sports team practicing before the big day, allowing military personnel the opportunity to collaborate and test their abilities.
What you don't want to do is wait until there's a crisis. So the more that we can do now together, the better we're going to be when potentially something bad or worse happens down the road.
The operation, stretching 6 weeks, a vital role in Arctic security.
This is homeland defense at its core, vigilant, postured, and integrated to win.
Now this operation wraps up on September 19th, and the Royal Canadian Navy tells us they're already looking towards the future to have more opportunities like this. Inside the gates, Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.